Hello, welcome back. So in the previous part, we have calculated the design compressive strength for the compound section or built-up section. Now in this part, we will see how do we determine the compressive strength of an angle section, because angle sections are widely used in different type of structure as a compression member. So they may be single angle section or double angle section. So we will take an example of single and double angle section to find out the strength. And how do we find out the strength? And basically there are some changes that are required to be made in case of calculation of compressive strength in case of single and double angle section. So we will see that. So first of all, we will try to understand the angle section, and there are some complication while calculating the compressive strength in case of angle section. So we will see that first. First, we will introduce with the angle section and the rules of calculating of FCD, because the critical value is calculation of FCD. So FCD value calculation in case of angle section is a little different. So we will see that how do we find out that, and then we will take an example to solve the problem using the rules. So angle sections are widely used in trusses, and angle sections are the most basic and widely used of all rolled structural steel shapes. Why is the reason? The reason is the connections, making the connection of angle section is relatively simple, and wide ranges of the size is available for the angle section. So that is why, this is the reason why angle sections are very popular to use in various types of structures. So single angle sections, they are commonly used in many applications, such as the web member in the steel joist. I will show you the steel joist. And in trusses, members of latticed transmission tower, also communication structures, and also the elements of built up columns and bracing members. So the angles has wide application in different types of structures. For example, like I have said, the steel joist, I will show you. It looks like this. So there you can see these are the angle section which are used here. And in the steel joist, this part is called the web members. So angle sections are used as web members in case of steel joist. So this is the structure of steel joist. It is being used in many structures. So this is actually a kind of beam, built up beam, in which we use this angle section. So angle section in this case, they are under compression. So that is why we are designing compression member in such cases. Similarly, in case of latticed transmission tower, so you must have seen such kind of towers which are being used to transmit electricity. So these transmitters, I mean, in this transmission tower, many angle sections are used. So this transmission tower is composed of many angle sections, and in this, many angle sections are experiencing compression. So how do we design that? So that is a wide application in such kind of tower. Similarly, if we see this gabled roof structure, in this case, these bracing members. So these bracing members, they are also used. Sometimes they are also used as angle sections. So angle sections are also used here as the bracing member. So in the bracing member, these angle may be alternately in tension and in compression. So some members may be in compression, some members may be in tension. So that also find application of the angles as a compression member. And besides this, there are so many other structures also in which we use angle section as a compression member. So now we will understand more about the angle section. So if we look at the single angle section, in the single angle section, in roof trusses, the single angle web members, they are often connected by one leg. Well, angle section may be connected by one leg or two legs. Therefore, if, I mean, I will show you here, this is the angle section. So if angle section is connected from this leg only, then we say that it is connected by one leg only. or if we connect this with this leg and this leg from both leg, then the transferring of the load mechanism is different. So if both the leg of the angle is connected, in that case we say that load is transferred concentrically, which means there is no, we consider that there is no eccentricity. But now, like the CG of the angle section is outside the section like this. So if both the legs are connected, we assume that that the load is passing concentrically along the CG. So in that case, there is no eccentricity, and the efficiency of the angle is more, and we can simply design the angle section just like we design the I section, or like we have used formula to calculate FCD value for I section and compound section. The same formula we can use for angle section if both the legs are connected. But if only one leg is connected, and CG of the angle is like here, if only one leg is connected, in that case eccentricity can come into the play. So in that case, we need to make some changes to calculate the value of FCD. So we will see that how. So as it says here, therefore, if the angle is connected from one leg, it introduces eccentricity with respect to the centroid of the cross section. So this is the centroid on one side of the chord, and sometimes alternatively on opposite sides of T section. Now I will show you one diagram. In this diagram, this is again the diagram of steel joist. This is the diagram of steel joist. So in the steel joist, upper chord and lower chord, they are T section, but they are connected by this web member, and this web member is acting, I mean this web member is actually the angle section. So sometimes what happens is angles are connected only on the one side of the T section. You can see here this angle is connected on this side, then the other angle is also connected on the same side. So in that case eccentricity is more. But sometimes to reduce the eccentricity, what we do is we connect angle section alternatively, like one angle is connected on this side and the other angle is connected on the other side of the T section. So by connecting, by making the connection in this manner, we can reduce the eccentricity to some extent. So as it is written here, if the angle is connected by one leg only, eccentricity induces, but that eccentricity can be reduced to some extent if we arrange the angle connection in such manner, like in this case. So in this lattice, I mean this steel joist will have more efficiency than this one, because in this case angles are connected only on the one side. So basically eccentricity induces on one side, and on the other side it may be weak. But when we connect angle section on alternatively on both sides, then the eccentricity can be reduced and the steel joist can be balanced. So that is the one aspect that we generally follow while designing the steel joist using the angle section. Now we will understand more about the single angle section. So as I said that single angle section may be transferred, I mean the compressive force from the single angle section may be transferred either concentrically. Well, concentrically when both the leg are connected. If this and this leg is connected, in that case we say that compression is transferred concentrically, which means there is no eccentricity to its centroid, or eccentrically by one leg. If we are connecting angle section along with one leg only, in that case the load is transferring eccentrically. And in the previous lecture I have shown that if the eccentricity is more, then the compressive load carrying capacity of the member may be less. So that is why our main aim is to reduce the eccentricity as much as possible. So now as per Indian standard 800, So if the angles are concentric loading, which means if the angles are connected from both legs, then the value of, I mean, calculation of FCD value will be similar as we have done in previous two example. Like if I show you this clause, so here in the IS code, if you look at this clause, it says that when there is a concentric loading in the angle section, then it says when a single angle is concentrically loaded in compression, the design strength may be evaluated using the 7.1.2 clause. So I will show you this 7.1.2 clause, which is similar, I mean, which is the same that we were using in calculating FCD value for the previous two example. So I will show you that again. So there you can see 7.1.2. So if the angles are connected from both legs, then the same process to calculate the value of FCD we will follow. The same formula we will use to calculate the FCD value that we have used in the previous two example if there is concentric loading in the angle section. But the condition is if there is one leg connected, then how do we find out the FCD value? That we will see again on the slide. So here again loaded through one leg. So it says that when the single angle is loaded concentrically through one leg of its legs, the flexural torsional buckling strength may be evaluated using an equivalent slenderness ratio. So what happens is when we are connecting with one leg only, then we know that eccentricity will be there, and in that case we cannot use the formula for FCD directly. In that case we have to find out slenderness ratio of the angle section, but that slenderness ratio will be called equivalent uh, slenderness ratio, which is different than the formula that we have used earlier. So now I will show you this clause, and in this clause I will show you the formula of the lambda E, which is called if equivalent slenderness ratio. So once we calculate this, then only we will be able to find out the value of FCD. So now I will show you that in the IS code only. So there you can see this is the clause 7.5.12, and it says that if angle is loaded through one leg only. So in that case, what we have to do is we have to find out equivalent lambda. So equivalent lambda can be calculated using this formula, which is K1 plus K2 lambda square VV plus K3 into lambda phi square. So we will find out first equivalent lambda from this, and then only we will put this value in the FCD formula, and then we will be able to find out FCD from that. So lambda in this case K1, K2 and K3, they are the constant, and for that this table is given. So constant K1 and K2 and K3, they can be calculated using this table, and this actually depends on the end condition, whether the compression member, I mean angle section from the end, if it is fixed or hinged, and how many bolts are connected, I mean used to connect the section. So all these things are considered to calculate the value of K1, K2 and K3. And also another two parameters, which is lambda VV and lambda phi is calculated. So formula to calculate lambda VV and lambda phi is also given here. So I will explain this formula in the slide because I have provided them there also. So as I said, we have to find out lambda E, and lambda E depends on various parameters. So this was the formula to calculate the lambda E. Lambda E is called equivalent slenderness ratio, and it depends on some parameters, which is K1, K2, K3. So this K1, K2, K3 is the constants that depends on the end conditions, which means how many bolts are used there, whether it is a fixed connection or hinge connection. So that we can find out from table 12 that I have shown you in the IS code. Now, what is lambda V? Well, lambda V is basically the slenderness ratio about the minor axis. Well, till now we have seen the I section, and I section or say the rectangular section. So I section has this axis. So we have seen that this is Z axis and this is Y axis. Well, every section has two important axes. One axis is called major axis and the other axis is called minor axis. So major axis is the axis about which any particular section is strong, but the opposite to it, the other axis which is called minor axis. So this minor axis is called, I mean, is the axis about which that section is weak. So major axis and minor axis, both of these two axes coincides with z axis and y axis, which means this z axis or y axis can be major axis or minor axis. So in this case, y axis can be major axis, sorry, y-axis will be minor axis and z-axis will be the major axis. But in case of angle section, now just look at the angle section, there are axes, x-axis and y-axis, which is passing through the centroid. But this angle section has two other axes also, which is UU axis and VV axis. Well, this UU axis is called major axis, which means this angle is the most, I mean, this axis is the strongest axis of this angle, which means angle is strong about this axis. But the second axis, which is VV, this is the, this is called minor axis, and this is the weakest axis of the angle section. So till now we were calculating radius of gyration for I section about z axis or y axis, because we know that minor and major axis both coincides with these two. But in case of angle, x and y axis is different and u and v axis is different. They are not coinciding with the x and y axis. So that is why the important axis in case of angle becomes the minor axis, because this is the axis about which this angle will fail first. So radius of gyration about the minor axis, which is VV axis, is the most important parameter to calculate the FCD value. And that is why slenderness ratio about this about this VV axis, which is minor axis, is the most important part, and that is being considered to calculate the equivalent slenderness ratio. Similarly, lambda phi is another parameter to take into the considerations of the complications of this angle section. So we just need to remember that this VV axis is the weakest axis about which this angle will fail most probably. So generally we calculate the radius of gyration about VV, and we will use that radius of gyration to calculate the strength, which is FCD. So lambda VV has this formula in which we are using, now you can see we are using radius of gyration about the VV axis. As I said that it is the weakest axis. So radius of gyration will be minimum about this axis. And similarly, lambda phi value is formula is also given here. Now in calculation of lambda phi, we need to find out two parameters, like one is B1, B2. Well, B1, B2 is the leg length. In this case, B1 and this one will also be B1 because both legs are equal. But in case of unequal angle section, one may be B1 and the other one will be B2. So for both type of angle section it considers. So in case of equal angle section it will become 2B1, while in case of unequal angle section it will be B1 plus B2, and T is the thickness of the thickness of the angle section. So this I have explained in the next slide also. L is the center to center distance of the angle section. So all the values I have written here, RVV, B1, B2, T, and this epsilon, this is called yield stress ratio, and the formula to calculate epsilon, yield stress ratio is 250 by Fy. So generally in our case, we generally use Fy as 250. So epsilon value will be 1. And IS code has given this table 12 to find out the value of K1, K2, K3 to for the calculation of lambda E. So there you can see K1, K2 value depends on the end conditions. So if the bolts are used 2 or more than 2, and if the connection is fixed, in that case K1, K2, K3 value will be there. So we will use this table to calculate this value. So now this is the question that we will solve. So we will solve this question in the next part. Thank you.